Right then, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Liam. This is my E30 Touring with an S38 swap. We're 8 years into this project and we're literally at the final steps now. And as the title suggests, this is a pretty big video for me. But it wasn't that easy. We did get it started, but there's a lot to tell you on the way. So in the previous video, I got the car ready for a show, but this was back in August now. A lot has happened since then. My only aim for that show was to get it looking like a car, and we did, so I'm really happy with that. But now it's time to get it started. So obviously there's a lot to do and there's a lot being done. So looking at it now, we've got the wiring loom in place, we've got some more coolant lines in place. And even with these just small little jobs, there's always something that comes up because this just isn't meant to work together. We've got the custom wiring loom mocked up to make sure everything fits. We've got all the fuel lines in. There's still a few more hoses, pipes, connectors and that to go in. But that's not a problem, we'll get onto those later. Luckily most of this stuff, like all the brake lines, the fuel lines, the clutch lines, I've already checked those that they fit. So all I need to do is pretty much install them. But obviously you've got to be pretty careful because of the paint. As you can see, the engine bay is starting to fill up, but it is still nice and tidy, and I do prefer seeing everything in place now. The airbox does an amazing job at hiding all the hoses in the wiring, but it is all in there. You can see we've got most of the coolant lines in, we've got the battery cable now in, we've got the fuel lines in, engine harness is going through there. This fuel line isn't the best, I do want to redo it in the future. I was just struggling to think about how to do it properly. We've got the catch can hoses to install, we've got the power steering lines to install. Luckily the E34 M5 heater matrix hose works perfectly for this application, just need to make one for the block, and then even under there the ICV is just hidden away. So the progress in this video is pretty jumbled. Some of it I'll be filming properly, filming every single step, some of it's a time lapse and some of it just happens. It totally depends on how busy I am, how stressed I am, but I've tried to include every step of the way, but there's also a lot to talk about.
But for now, let's start on the coolant pipes.
So I was really struggling to figure out a way to get a header tank connected up to the engine. But luckily there's an M22 thread right at the back of the coolant pipe. But that meant I was able to use an AN10 fitting with a banjo to suit the M22 thread, which honestly works perfectly. So this is the heater matrix pipe I've made up, so it's the top pipe that goes to the block. Unfortunately the airbox was hitting the original one as it comes out and then up, so I had this one angled away. As you can see, it just fits, but that's more than enough. Now with the Propshaft, it's so hard to get information on what fits and what doesn't. So in the end, I went for an E36 328i front with a standard E30 rear, which actually worked perfectly as the E36 has the bigger flange to suit the E34 gearbox. So I bought this used as a pair, but obviously I need to give it a little clean up. So simply strip down, we'll change the guibo, we'll change the center support bearing, and then we'll give it a bit of paint. There's no play in the bearing, so I'm happy to use that once it's all cleaned up. Now the evenings were setting in, I still had a massive task to do, as I planned in for the wiring guy to come around a bit too early really. There was still a lot of jobs still to tick off, so let's get on with those. The first one was to do the valve shims. Now I measured these ages ago to make sure they were all right, ordered the ones I needed, so it was time to get on with those. Now unfortunately we hit a bit of an issue. So once I've ordered them, I ordered 33mm diameters with all the kind of different sizes, 3mm and upwards and downwards from there. But unfortunately, they sent me 31mm, so I was absolutely stuck. So I spoke to my wiring guy and said, right, we're gonna have to cancel. I'm not gonna be able to do it. And he said he's got hundreds of the shims. So he just brought his old box down. The day after, we got those in. So I still didn't realise they were the wrong size, but here I am just about to do it. So I have my little sheet here with what they were before, what the gap was and what they need to be. And then using the little special BMW tool, I was able to lift those out, check the sizes and then change them to what they needed. But unfortunately, as soon as I realised they were wrong, I decided to give in and we carried on something else. So we'll call that the first problem. Trust me, there's many more to come. This was actually just the night before Guy was going to come around and do the wiring for the startup, so I was pretty stressed out. So I thought best rather than ruin the evening, I may as well set up the ITBs. So what I was doing here is setting the stop position, and then you can move on to the fully open position. Then once you've set that, you can synchronize them all to each other by operating each one by adjusting these little rods. So this is where the second problem hit me. The starter that I rebuilt and tested was just not working at all. So luckily I had a spare, so I quickly threw that on just to make sure I got some rotation. Then I moved on to just connecting a few of the coolant hoses up. So this is where the filming stops and the progress begins. As Guy arrived and all of a sudden we were getting the wiring in, so we had all the ECU fully wired up and we were ready to go. On startup, we were trying to just crank it over to get some oil pressure and there was no oil pressure at all. So we removed the filter housing and had a look for any oil flow. No flow. Remove the pressure switch. There was no oil in at all. So we called it a day and I was stressing over all the issues, what this could be. Obviously thinking oil pump, thinking anything, all this work I've done that I posted online, there must be something I've done wrong. So I decided to remove the filter housing and as you can see, oil was coming straight out of it. So what is the issue? But the first job was to get some oil around the engine. So I made up this little connector that goes into the pressure switch. I was able to manually pump oil through the engine to make sure everything's lubricated. And now what I found is that if you install a drain plug here, this is from an earlier edition on the filter housing. By installing this, it actually stopped the problem. But does it mean it fixed it? No, that's something we can do later. But as you can see here, we gain oil pressure. So as you can see, we were getting sustained 4.4 bar on cranking without oil. That's about right. Obviously that doesn't mean the issue is fixed, but it means that the oil pump is fine, which is great news, as that would be an absolute pain to change. What it does mean is all this drain was for was when you undo the filter housing cap, you can easily remove the filter and it drains away the oil from the housing. But obviously with this one, it was recircling straight back. So next, fuel. And that obviously brought the next problem, a fuel leak on the fuel rail. So it's where the pipe goes into the fuel rail, there's a little O-ring and a bracket to hold it in place. I tried to reseat it in the engine bay, but there's just not enough room to get it right. So I thought what's best to do is to pull it out in one, because luckily when you undo the throttle bodies, everything kind of comes with it. And I wasn't too happy with the fuel rail brackets. I'm pretty sure they were bent or at least not in the right position. So the best thing to do, just get it out. And as you can see here, it's not seated correctly. It's sticking out and you can just see the O-ring and obviously all the fuel damage. So clean up the pipes and I was able to get those reseated. I did shave a little bit off the bracket just to make them sit a bit further inwards. But now as you can see, both sit really nice and tight in there. The O-rings were right, everything was done right. Just unfortunately, I missed that the bracket wasn't done right. So now with that, I can install that back in. And with putting everything back in one piece, I was able to make sure there's no stress on the fuel lines, because as I did before, I installed the fuel rail and then connected the fuel lines up to it. And I think that's where I missed it, and that's where the problem was. So once those are in, throw the wiring harness back in. Luckily, everything's labeled, super easy to do. Really happy with that. Guess that means we can move on to the next thing, or at least the next problem. First thing to do, check for spark. Now for its first startup attempt. For the keen-eyed viewers, you're going to see something really weird here. Why is this stuff exhausting out of the intake? Usually it gets pulled in on the intake, right? I tried again, but then gave up and rang Guy. And then over the phone he figured something out. That shouldn't be going that way, it should be the other way around. Are you sure you're doing your cam timing right? But of course I had, I spent so many months on it. No one else has figured it out. Why just him? It turns out I did him wrong. So the overlap at TDC, I may have got that mixed up. I got the exhaust and the intake the wrong way around. So what that meant is, at TDC, the exhaust was just starting to open and the intake was just starting to close. Exactly opposite. Now with that being exactly opposite, it meant there was absolutely no damage. All it meant was that the engine was literally running in reverse. It was sucking in the exhaust and coming out the intake. Looking back, it's quite funny how wrong I was, but obviously this could cause massive damage. As you can see here, it says that the TDC overlap is where the intake valve has started to open, whilst the exhaust valve has started to close. Now I looked at this graph and I read them totally wrong way around. I thought blue was intake, red was exhaust, but obviously looking at it now, it's the opposite way around. The overlap shows the exhaust closing and the intake opening. Luckily, I did a ton of measurements with the PTV and all the clearances to make sure that there was no issues before, so I know that it is okay. So all I had to do was to release the tension, remove the cam sprockets, rotate the cams around so that they were just on the correct stroke. And then when I did that, I was able to put everything back together, just do some final checks to make sure everything was right. Luckily, I've obviously done this quite a few times now, so I kind of understand the gist of it. But working in an engine bay is really hard. There's just no room at all, and there's a lot of stuff that you want to be pretty careful of. Now, because I've shown this a lot of times before, let's just leave a time lapse on. So with that all back together, again, we can go for startup again. So initially, we're getting a bit of backfiring, a bit of spluttering, so I need to plug in the laptop, do a bit of fine tuning. as this engine hasn't got much info online, so it's pretty hard to figure out all the timing. This guy asked me to hook up a little ignition light and I could figure out where it was igniting. Luckily it was just around TDC, so we were really close, just needed a little fine tune. Now in this one, we start getting a bit more coughing, a bit more splurting, and then after that, get onto the laptop and do some final adjustments to the injectors, and then you'll have to just find out and see what happens. So that's it, we did it. 8 years of this project and it finally comes to life. Crazy to think about it really. As you can see, the little smile kind of tells everything. There was a lot of happy feelings, a massive relief. And now that it starts, it means I can get the coolant in, I can get the exhaust on, get the airbox on, do some more fine tuning, and it gives me all the motivation in the world to get this car ready to drive. So I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.